Hello, everyone. Just give me 1 second here to kind of just make sure everything is all good. I think everything looks to be in order. Okay, guys, welcome to a pretty casual review of Dead Island 2. If you follow the channel, you guys kind of know that I do walkthroughs, which I haven't done for a few months. I do recently mainly clips and kind of like funny moments and stuff like that. But for whatever reason with Dead Island 2, I really wanted to kind of do something a little bit different. So next to me I have a notepad with some just topics that I wanted to talk about. And as the title of this video slash stream indicates, because I am live streaming this too, as a side note, is that I got the platinum on this game. I think this is actually one of my first like actual PS5 stream style too. I don't really stream with my PlayStation 5. An A50, yeah, I've been gone for over a month. Yeah, it's been a it's been a hot moment. And actually, even just a side note, I went back recently. I've been kind of starting to do platinums a lot. I got the Days Gone platinum recently. I got the Forbidden West platinum. Actually, I have 5 platinums. I just realized that. What are the other ones? I got Ghost. That was a really fun game. I think I'm just missing the online stuff. Horizon Zero Dawn. Yeah. Anyways, so yeah, this is a platinum kind of review, a casual review. And I guess kind of just, you know what, we'll save the platinum. Get the MW2 2009 platinum. Fuck no. There's some pretty nasty ones out there. You know what? This might be a little too loud, actually. So as you can tell, this is definitely not a professional, highly edited review. This is just gonna be me pretty much turning on the recording and kind of just spitballing and kind of just having a discussion with my general thoughts and what I think about the game, if it's worth it or not for the full price tag. That's a hard one to get. Yeah, I know COD 4 too as well. The Mile High Club was a pretty hard one too. And I do have a lot of kind of smaller topics I want to get into as well. I don't know how long this video is going to be. It could be 10 minutes. It could be 30. And then as well towards the end, we'll kind of I'll kind of give a general update of my Twitch and my YouTube kind of going forward, because I have been pretty much non-existent on this platform for I know I did a Fallout stream last month, but it's been a while. Anyways, that's going to be towards the end of the video, because I know people who are going to be watching this video don't really care about that. They want to know what my thoughts are. And really what the meaning of this video is. So, you know what? We're going to start off with the weapon modding. The real question, will you stream more? Yeah, you know what, 50, I'll actually come back to that. But if you want a heads up, I'm kind of thinking about doing like Skyrim permadeath runs, like legendary survival mode. I thought that might be something fun to do. Or maybe even trying a new game or something like that I haven't played. Maybe like Bloodborne or something like that. But yeah, we'll start. Weapons are kind of the big appeal of these type of first person, hack and slash games, right? But it's also kind of sad to say that they're actually one of my main issues with the weapon systems in this game is that there's actually not a whole lot of depth to them. You have your few different types of weapons, right? You have your headhunters, like the pokey poke, as you saw recently. You have your huge two-handed kind of blunt weapons. And then you have your maiming, like, hack and slash, taking off limbs and such like that, right? And, I remember seeing previews for this game, I thought that there would be more wacky, more in-depth customization when it came to weapons, right? Especially when you got towards, say, like the later part of the end game. But sadly, when it comes to this game, it's pretty straightforward. There's only a handful of true weapon mods. You have your mutilator mod, you have your flame, you have your acid, you have your electricity, and you have your corrosive, right? And then each of those, as you can see, has different tiers. So that's really as deep as it gets, is do you want to use fire, do you want to use shock, etc. Because there are zombies that counter that. Which, if you want to know a little weird thing, is, for example, I have a fire shotgun, because this makes no sense. And so you're shooting a buckshot still, right? Like, you're still shooting pellets, like metal balls, where the hell they're called. I'm sorry, I'm having a blank on that. At the zombie. But because it's a firefighter zombie, it's immune to a shotgun shell. Even though it's spitting fire too, like a dragon's breath round, it's resistant to it. So you'll kind of run into weird things like that, which doesn't make too much sense. But, so with the mods themselves not being very deep, the perks are actually a little bit different. There are actually some more unique builds you can do when it comes to these. You have your standard stuff, like you increase your force, but reduced attack speed, heavy attacks, like your basic stuff, right? Less damage usage, increased attack speed, etc., etc. I think there's like an increased damage one, right? On these. But when you start to kind of get down into the later parts of these, the superior zombie mods, whereas you can see, you start to need a bit more special materials, right? You need infected spine, regenerating tissue, insect larva, mutated heart. And these are what kind of start to, like, they kind of give your builds a little bit more depth to it, right? For example, I have killing zombie gives you a moderate damage boost with critical hits and heavy attacks do increased damage with increased damage with the mutilation. So this paired with the passive that I have as a skill card, this thing just keeps going and going and it just stacks damage, right? But even the mods, like not the mods, sorry, the perks themselves aren't deep enough to really warrant crazy experimentation, right? There are clearly better cards than others, but I do imagine there are some things you can come up with, like some pretty cool combinations. 50, a person in the chat just asked the question, how wacky did you want it to be? Maybe not to the point of like Borderlands wacky where like you're shooting cheeseburgers, out of a gun. But I see, now that's a tough question, because I can sit here and say that like there's not enough depth to it, but I also can't really come up with anything off the top of my head either. I think what this game really spoke to was kind of just how safe they wanted to play it, right? They didn't want to go too wacky, but they didn't also want to go too dark and kind of go into the Dying Light territory. So they kind of just kept it kind of down the middle, if that makes any sense. And there's actually one thing I want to talk about with weapons. I'm going to demonstrate this right now, too, because I watched the Skill Up review, not to call him out or anything like that. He's actually one of my favorite reviewers. He made a comment saying that weapons were useless in this game, but I don't know where he got that notion from, because, as you can see, they're very effective, right? Like, if you want to clear a whole horde, you can clear a whole horde without any issues. Mind you, I don't know if, like, he just didn't upgrade his weapons or something like that, right? Though, I will agree with him, the weapon gunplay isn't, like, you know, top tier, like, I don't know, say, like, Call of Duty or, like, Titanfall or anything like that. But I think it's serviceable, at least. Oh, and that person is immune. But anyways, so that's kind of just a general overview of the weapons. And also kind of a brief kind of topic on how weapons are in this game. And essentially, after you play the game for a few hours, it really doesn't change at all. So if the game is not hooking you in the first couple hours, it's most likely you're not going to like hour 20 either as well. Going on to the next topic, what do I have here? Character passives and skill cards. Perfect. And skills, I like Borderline weapons. It was funny. And you know what? That's another thing too. Borderlands 3 did a really good job with the weapons and how they felt and how the different parts can form, you know, different guns. It was really good. I enjoyed that aspect of it. And I guess I might sound like a broken record here, but skills also kind of face the same issue as weapons, is that there's a lack of depth to it. They try and make it deeper with the autophage system, which I'll talk about a little bit later. And as well, instead of doing a linear perk system or a perk tree like so many other like RPGs do, they opted to do a deck building system. But where the lack of depth comes from is that there are clearly better cards than others. So even though you can unlock a whole whack of cards to mix and match, right? Actually, I'm missing a card here. I thought I unlocked everything. There are clearly just more effective builds you can do, right? And obviously the best cards to go with are the ones that give you boosted damage, right? So with this one, as soon as you maim a zombie, by the way, you're maiming zombies constantly, so Surgeon is just automatic damage boost, which means you kill zombies faster. Maiming a zombie, you're doing, again, all the time, so you get boost to your attack speed, which just raises your DPS. Maiming a zombie gives you health. There is one, I think this fourth one I kind of bounce around quite a bit, but this is clearly one of the better cards too, is Tools of the Trade. Is if I use a melee weapon, well, my next shot with my rifle is better, and vice versa, right? So you're always kind of cycling out your weapons, which is, as you can see, like I was one-tapping zombies with a rifle. Born Survivor pretty much just makes you invincible and nearly impossible to die, so I don't know why you'd use any other one. And the second one here, you could kind of use anger management, but it's not worth it. Because the thing about Fury mode is that if you have another skill card where is it here? Yeah, this card. Fury mode slays zombies to replenish your Fury mode. You don't need to sacrifice your health, right? So this is kind of just a dump card. And Corpse Blossom is not too bad. But, I mean, the Stomp is just a better choice. And this is what I'm trying to get at, right? There's just... Sure, you can use other cards and kind of mix and match. But you're pretty much just restricting your ability to do more damage in the long run. So that's kind of just my thoughts on the skill system. It's a good idea, but it's just not implemented in a correct... I don't say correct way. I think it just needed more balancing is the problem. Because like I said, like, there's not like much reason to replay the game and then try a different build, sort of say, right? And with the autophage system, as you can see, some of these cards have that kind of like skull teardrop on them, which means it's an autophage skill. And if you put 1 to 3 or even more on your character, you have different tiers, right? So it starts out small with, minor, boost to attack, speed, fury, duration. And it comes with a set of negatives though, right? So it starts out with reduced peaked health, then it goes to reduced stamina regeneration, to then no health regeneration, reduced health recovery from medkits, etc., etc. But you gain a huge bonus to damage, right? And to be honest with you, there's really no reason why to not have autophage tier 3. I actually don't know why I don't have a tier 3 at the moment. I think it's just because I like these cards I currently have. But the game isn't difficult enough to make you question why you should say, like, oh, maybe I should stay at tier 2, or maybe I should stay at tier 1. You're like, you know what? Maybe it's not even worth it. For this, it's literally like, get to tier 2 or tier 3 at least, because there's no drawback, really. Because there's so many other perks, like weapon perks or skill cards, that kind of cut out the cons to the tiers, that there's just really no true drawback to not doing it. And then I also want to touch on character passive. So each character does have a character passive. I'm just trying to see if I could find one right now. Right here. Perfect. So Serial Killer is a special passive that only, as you can see right here, Danny and Jacob have. I'm playing as Danny, by the way, the Irish girl. I just love Irish accents, and I just think they're funny. And Danny's actually probably one of the better characters, in my honest opinion. But yeah, so in this one, it's a very, you know what? Even this skills might not even be worth it to have it. I might swap it out for something else. But I guess it's kind of too late now because I beat everything. A minor boost to damage when you slay a zombie. So it's just a minor slayer buff, right? And that kind of goes forward for all the different characters. Like, so I got this character to level 30, which is the max level in the game. Because there's no replay value with these skill cards and with the character passives and such, it's just not worth going and trying a new character, playing for another 15-20 hours to get a minor gameplay difference like Serial Killer, where there are other cards that are used for everybody that probably are they're more effective, right? Yeah, like, and so that's just gonna kind of like top off of that. I guess, you know what I'll actually bring up too is the characters themselves, I've only played as Danny, but I have seen some other dialogue from other characters. This game kind of suffers from the Borderlands effect, actually, which is actually a good segue from talking with a viewer here, a follower of my Twitch chat. With Borderlands 3, if you guys remember, if you played it, the characters never addressed you by name, right? They would kind of say something general, and then that wasn't gender specific or name specific, so they'll say like they, etc. And your character will kind of respond with their own line, right? The problem with this type of dialogue is that you run into a lot of cases where it doesn't match up very well. Like, for example, Danny will say something fucking hilarious or something that would warrant a specific reaction, but because the characters, like the NPCs, have to be written in a certain way that apply to all the 5 characters, they're not allowed to do that. So you kind of do run into weird conversations where they just don't feel natural. And though you have like multiple playable characters, the character interactions really aren't that good, and they actually are lacking quite a bit. And I kind of want to talk about combat, but I'm also kind of just letting the gameplay speak for itself. Right now we're on a map called Venice Beach, which I thought would be a nice location to kind of showcase gameplay because it's nice, it's sunny. It's a nice contrast from Dying Light 2's really dark and depressing world. And kind of just showing you guys, you know, how you can maim enemies and the gore system of just like how good it is. And I will say the gore system in Dead Island 2 is a huge technical achievement. It is so satisfying to take off legs, arms, oh, you know what? I can also show off my Fury attack as well. So this is kind of like the berserk mode of this game, because you are bitten, as you probably saw from the trailers if you looked into the game. If not, yeah, you get bit, you're immune, you're like, you know what? I won't spoil it. I will say this is mainly a spoil-free review, but something like this is a spoiler. I'm sorry. This is also a platinum review, so I don't know what else to tell you. Maybe I should have actually said that at the start of the review. Apologies if you do get spoiled. But then again, it's one of those things where it's like, if you don't want to be spoiled, why are you watching like gameplay and reviews and stuff like that? Like, just look up scores and kind of general consensus and then go from there. Anywho, yeah, you have like your heavy and strong attacks. You could take off different limbs. Zombies respawn. That was a little exaggerated. If you do perfect dodges, you can line up like perfect counter attacks like that. Oh, that's... And actually, this is a perfect example of immunity, right? So I stabbed that zombie in the head, but because I had bleed on it, it was immune into being stabbed, or immune from being stabbed in the head. So there's some weird things like that that can kind of seem a little arcadey, but overall, the gore system is insane. Like, maybe I'll actually see if I could show you guys some stuff. But like, you can see different bones. You can see like inner organs. Like like how the blood pools and stuff like that. Oh, actually, I kind of want to see if I can get like. Like, look at this. Like, you can see the brain, like, jiggling in our skull from it being opened, right? Like, it is very, very satisfying, the combat loop. Let me see if I get a... And that's why I mentioned earlier, is if this game doesn't, like... Okay. If this game doesn't capture you in the first couple hours, you probably won't enjoy the rest of the game. But there is a caveat to that. The game does definitely feel a lot faster and has a better pace to it, if that makes sense, because you start getting things like guns, weapon mods and stuff like that that make slaying zombies a bit more gruesome or more effective, right? So that could change your mind of how the later game plays. So I did want to kind of briefly touch about the gore system, even though I don't really have to. I think the trailers and, you know, gameplay you've probably seen floating on the internet, that's kind of the main selling point of the game. So I don't know if it's kind of redundant of me to even bring it up. And as you can see too, when I kill a zombie, all those yellow icons, those are all the skills lining up, telling me that they're activated. So you can see when I get a kill, you know, like, look how fast I'm killing these big guys. You know what I mean? So, like, I don't understand skill ups comparison to that. Oh shit, big boy. That guns aren't effective. I find them very effective. If I could actually hit my target. These guys are actually they hurt a lot. So yeah, I did want to touch on the gore system a little bit and stuff like that. What is next on my list? Story length. Perfect. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna head back to the base because it'd be better to have that type of visual. Actually, a side note too, but what they do in this game that I really liked. It's a small detail, but it's something. Oh yeah, and there's like legendary weapons too. I guess I should have brought that up. For example, this is a legendary AK you can get from one of the missions, or lost and found missions. As you can see, it is very effective. Besides enemies that are protected from bleed. Well, for this next segment, it'll just be a lot easier to show you with the map. So I think there's like 30 something. You know what? It's probably easier just to go to the main menu. So there are, oh, so I was off. And this is a little thing that I like that I wish more games would do. This game tells you exactly how much content is in the game. And actually, I'm missing a lost and found. I thought I did everything, but I'm missing one mission I have to do now. But, so, actually I did most of the challenges too, surprisingly. But this game tells you exactly how much is in the game. 24 main missions, 33 side quests, and then Lost and Found are kind of like a weird hybrid between collectibles but mini side missions. Like you're finding like lost people, you're doing treasure hunts and stuff like that. And I will say this game can be pretty short. if you just beeline it straight through the story quest, like the main story, you're probably looking at, I want to say 10 to 15 hours. And then if you're doing some side quests, maybe bump that up to 15 to 20 hours. I got the platinum after 25 hours, but you can definitely do it in a more effective method of that. Actually, how long have I even played this game? Because I think I only played this game for a handful of days. So from my very first trophy to the actual platinum is 5 days. But you gotta minus 1 day because I was working. I did a full day shift and I just didn't play that day because it was like 11:30 to 11:30. And I just really didn't feel like coming home almost at midnight to play. And then also there were probably 2 other days where I only played for like maybe an hour or two. It was only really this weekend, Sunday. What was it? Saturday, Sunday? No, sorry, it was Sunday, Monday, where I really put a lot of time into the game. But you could platinum this game probably in 2 days. If you were efficient in how you played the game, yeah, you could platinum this in 2 days. Because like I said, this took me about 25 hours, but this was a very casual playthrough. And the thing too about maps is that it tells you exactly where everything is, right? So for example, that missing mission is actually in Ocean Avenue, that lost and found quest that I'm missing. So you could easily go there and do that. And even just briefly touching on the story, again, I'm not going to spoil anything. It's not the greatest. It's pretty predictable and also ends on a cliffhanger. Clearly, I don't know if it's quite as much as sequel bait. I think it's more setting up for I think they have 2 DLC packs coming out. And then I imagine if there's going to be a sequel bait, it'd be in those DLCs. It was enjoyable though, I'll say. It wasn't like it was a Trog or something like that, where I was like hating every moment and I was skipping cutscenes and I just wanted them to stop talking. It was nothing like that. It's just like it's essentially a story you've seen dozens of times play over. So if you're looking for a very deep, meaningful story, you're definitely not going to get that. You're not going to get that here. But if you're familiar with Dead Island, I don't think you'd probably be looking for that anyways, regardless. Because Dead Island is known for you just slaying zombies and kind of just chilling out and having a good time, right? Another topic here too I have is online play. So this game is co-op, up to 4 players. I will say there does seem to be some input delay issues. I believe it's peer-to-peer connection. Don't quote me on that, but I definitely felt that input delay like you get from games like, I guess going back to Borderlands again. Borderlands is notorious for that, where the input delay is so bad it's almost nearly impossible to play co-op on consoles. PC, not the same. PC, I imagine co-op is just fine, but again, this is a PlayStation 5 review. So you will see probably, if you're not the host, some input delay, maybe even a little bit of lag. Not the worst I've seen. It's definitely playable, but if you go from single player to multiplayer, you will see you will definitely see a difference in quality of play. But again, it's more gameplay to showing you like just how I don't understand Skillup's point of view that guns are useless, especially because towards the end of the game, you definitely have a lot of gunpowder and materials to craft ammunition, or you have a lot of money that you can just buy stuff regardless. You know what? I actually don't think I've ever been down here before. I wonder if there's anything good down there. So yeah, and I can briefly kind of talk about the world of Dead Island 2. It is an open world. It's semi-open world. As you saw from gameplay so far, it's hub-based worlds that are linked together through loading screens. So there is a open-ish environment to it. It pretty much plays similar to Dead Island 1, where you'll have open spaces, but it's not one giant map. You'll have zones, I guess you could call them, right? Pretty much linked through corridors or loading screens. And to be honest with you, it has been a breath of fresh air for me personally. I've been playing a lot of open world games recently, and I've just kind of noticed, as I imagine more like a bunch of other people have too, that the quality has kind of just declined with them. It seems like it's very rare where you get open world games where they're densely packed and like every inch is explorable, where you'll find something new around the corner. It seems like a lot of them tend to be just open world for the sake of being open world, and I hate that design. It makes playing games a chore sometimes. And to some games benefit, it's the whole point of them to be barren. Like, for example, let's say Mad Max. Like, that's the whole setting of Mad Max, is that, you know, it's a barren desert. But with this game, I really liked the decision that they kind of kept it similar to the original, more handcrafted, more like just, it doesn't have the open world feeling, I guess that's what I'm trying to get at. It doesn't feel bloated, and I think that's definitely one of the benefits of Dead Island 2, is that it doesn't overstay its welcome. Like I said, this game, you could probably finish it within 10 to 15 hours, because the devs definitely didn't know that there was a shelf life on this experience, right? They only had enough content and systems in place for I don't want to say a short game, but this is definitely not a game you're going to be sinking hundreds of hours into. Or, you know what? There are people that do stuff like that. You'll see games that aren't long, but somehow they have like 1,000 hours on a Steam review. But I think for the most part, most people, you'll probably get 10 to 40, 50 hours out of this experience if you really want to drag it out. But it's just, it works. I think it works in this more linear style. I know that was some issues that people had when they announced that, but I think it actually works to its benefit rather than it being a negative. What else do we got here? Oh yeah, I I don't have PlayStation Plus. I typically don't pay for online on my PlayStation 5. I think the last time I had it was for Ghost, because I wanted to play the online horror mode for that with some buddies. But ever since then, like for years, I haven't touched it. But this game has 2 online trophies. It's to play 5 quests, complete 5 quests in co-op, and then to also to revive 5 people in co-op play. So they're not difficult trophies, but for someone like myself, and I imagine many others who play maybe mainly single-player games, it kind of sucks when developers do that. I hate online trophies personally. I think they're pointless. I guess they're technically not as bad. I don't know if you guys remember back in the real old days of of Xbox achievements and PlayStation trophies. Actually, I don't know so much about PlayStation trophies because I wasn't on the PlayStation 3 during the time. But there were like achievements on the Xbox where you had to get like #1 in the world leaderboard. Like insane stuff where like literally maybe only a couple hundred people had like either the chance, or only a couple dozen people who were kind of going back and forth fighting for the #1 spot could actually possibly get. So obviously this is not to that extreme, but I still hate that developers kind of do this, or it's just like, if it's an online game, obviously that's different, or if a sizable chunk of the experience is online. And I mean, you could argue that this game is meant to be played in co-op, but if you're only putting 2 co-op achievements in the game, just don't. Because I actually ended up spending $10 to get this platinum because I needed those two trophies, which is fine. I'll probably go back and maybe play something online that I didn't do originally at the time because I didn't have it. And maybe I'll go back to Ghost and I'll get the online trophies for that because I know they had an update for that when the DLC dropped. But I kind of just want to bring up that side little thing because, yeah, that was kind of like a little, I don't want to say a bad thing, just a little annoyance that I kind of saw. Sorry. And I guess the big talking point for this is platinum difficulty. How difficult is it to get the platinum in this game? It is very easy. This is a definitely, I don't want to say it's a platinum that prints itself out like some of those games you can buy on the PlayStation Store where it's like you play for 2 seconds and you get instant plat. You do have to put a little bit of effort into this game. But essentially, if you just complete all the side quests and such, and you get those 2 shitty online trophies, you play a little bit of online, you'll pretty much have 99% of the trophies regardless. Maybe one that might take a little bit longer is reaching to level 30, because I think when you finish the game, you're at level 25. But like I said, if you do the side quests and such, and you're just not just beeline it straight for the main quest, getting to level 30 shouldn't be too much of a hassle because it's already wrapped in you completing the other trophies regardless. Like doing like the 40 non-main story missions, right? One I will say that took a little bit longer for myself personally, because I kind of did this to myself, is so you have to, there's 4 trophies, right? It's combat, exploration, survival, and weapon challenges that you have to get. You have to complete at least 1 in each category, right? I recently, like the last achievement I got was actually completing one of each of the survivor challenges because of Holly Rich List. When I've been playing the game throughout like this playthrough, I didn't sell off a lot of my gear. I actually ended up scrapping most of it for parts to upgrade my weapons, right? So I actually kind of ran pretty low on money a lot of the playthrough. As you can see right now too, I'm sitting at $10,000. I do not have any money at the moment. And the reason why that took me so long is by the time I was done the game, I only had like $400,000 accumulated, right? So I needed to get a shit ton of money towards the end. So instead of just naturally selling weapons throughout the game, I actually had to spend a little bit of time farming zombies, killing them, waiting for weapon drops, going to different... Well, what I actually ended up doing towards the end, this is kind of like a... I don't want to say like a little tip, but if you ran into the same problem I did, what you can do is you actually go to the traders and you buy up all their stock and then sell it back to them. So then you'll get like an easy 40 to 50,000 per trader, right? And you kind of could just keep doing that until you get the achievement, or sorry, challenge. Yeah, I guess I could, you know, something I didn't really touch on because I just used it right now. There are legendary weapons. I guess I did bring it up briefly with the AK and stuff like that, but there are specialty weapons too as well, where they'll have locked abilities or unique perks to them, right? Like for this example, this has Reaper, right? So ignite zombies primes a weapon. When prime, heavy attacks inflict additional fire or limb damage, which gets stacked. And with this, Tear and Sear is kind of the really special part of this one, is when you take off a limb, it actually starts a pool of blood, or a pool of fire, underneath it, like that. So if you have a horde against you, you can really help clear out zones. So yeah, the platinum, overall, a pretty easy platinum. Is the reason why I got it in the first place. As you saw earlier, I am not a platinum hunter. I do not platinum every game I play. I only platinum games that I really, really enjoy. You know, so games like Ghosts, I wanted to get the platinum for. The Horizon games. Days Gone, like that, for example. But when it came to the end of my playthrough with Dead Island 2, it sparked something in me. I kind of wanted to make this casual style review. I wanted to kind of... I'm not quite to the point where I want to start editing videos and, you know, putting a lot of effort into that sense, because to be honest with you, I really just don't have the energy or the time to, with work and stuff like that, right? Because I if you didn't know, I think I brought it before in my other streams, but for people who are just checking out this channel for the first time, I work for the government. I'm a correctional officer, and that's shift work, so a lot of times I'm working late nights, or I'm working all day. So there's just a lot of times where I just don't have the energy to do so. But when it came to the end of this, where I only had like 4 or 5 trophies missing, I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna go for the platinum. And then I thought that what would be a really nice idea is just that I kind of just sat down, turned on the recording. I jot down a few notes in my notepad here and kind of just casually have some gameplay playing on in the background. Laid back, just kind of talking about my thoughts of the game and whether I recommend it or not. And obviously, you know, having a platinum trophy on it, kind of just throw that spin on it too, right? Like how I felt after technically not... So I did technically 100% the game. As you saw, I think I was at 87% or something like that. Because like points of interest and challenges go into that percentage, but I 100%ed the side and main content in terms of missions and quests and stuff like that, and also of course the trophies. Rating wise, that's I think that's what threw a lot of people off, is that I don't know, people were expecting Dead Island 2 to be like a 10 out of 10 or like a masterpiece, like Sony exclusive or something like that. Dead Island 2 is the most 7.5 average game you could probably play this year or in recent years. This game, because it was stuck in development hell for over 10 years, you can definitely tell that this game was originally meant to come out in 2014. It is a blast from the past, from a previous console generation. And for me, again, it was just refreshing to kind of step away from the microtransactions, the free-to-play bullshit that's kind of infested the gaming industry of recent years. And that's why so many people clung on to Elden Ring 2, is that it was just such a good content-filled game, is that it almost feels rare to have that nowadays, as sad as that sounds. But yeah, for me, rating-wise, if you're going on your average, like, game reviewer site, I'd probably say this is a 7 to a 7.5. If you're an Angry Joe fan and you know how they do their gamer scores, or game scores, it's, for them, the average is a 5.0, right? And then 5.5 would be slightly above average, which I think is a fitting rating for this game. This is just, there's nothing bad about it, there's nothing criminal about it, there's nothing great about it. It is just a fun hack and slash zombie game that you can't really go wrong with. It was nice to sit back after work and just slash out some zombies, take out their limbs, you know, watch guts fly like that. Like, it was fun. It was refreshing, is what I kind of keep saying. But it's how I feel about it, you know, as I get older and, you know, I have less time to play games and stuff like that. You know, I don't like the live service stuff where I have to log on where it feels like a chore. I like these games where I can slowly kind of just chip away at it at my own pace and just kind of enjoy myself, right? But here comes the $1 million question. So yes, D-Blunts, it's, you know, an average game. It's fun. There are some negatives or some positives about it. Is it worth the full price? And now that kind of goes down into two different lines of thinking, right? So I know a lot of people, they tend to do the, you know, dollar an hour system, right? So if this game costs me $80, actually, you know what? This game actually cost me like $100 after taxes, because I don't know why this game was... That's another weird thing, actually, I'll say about Dead Island, too. Other games in my... Because I'm from Canada, so our games are actually more expensive than if you are in the States, for example. This game was listed at $93, plus the taxes. So they actually charged $4 more than your average standard game, which was kind of weird. So I don't know what that was about. But, so, sorry, off tangent. Going back to the point. So this game costs you $80 to play, or $70 in the case if you're American. You should get 70 hours out of this game, right? But that is not even... I don't even want to say that's barely a quarter of what you'll actually probably... most people will get out of this. I got 25 hours out of this game because I did literally all the side content you can do. Or most of it. I think there's like one quest. And here's an example of what I was talking about earlier. I have a giant pick, and I just smacked him in the head with it, but he is resistant to it. How does that make any sense? Right? Just don't apply the fire damage. So, if you're using that metric, then no, this game is not worth it, because you'll probably get 15 hours average on a playthrough with this game. But if you are a platinum hunter, me being a novice one, yeah, you'll get probably about 20 hours. You could probably shrink that down a bit if you're more effective than I was. But for me, my line of thinking has kind of changed as time has gone on, because I do have a bit more of a budget. It's not so much money, it's time, as it is for so many people, especially if you have family, kids, and stuff like that. For example, you'll pay like $20, right, for a meal, and you're done that meal in, let's say, like 15 to 20 minutes. 30. We'll say if you're taking your time. So, and that's not even an hour, and you're paying, you know, almost a quarter price of a game. But if you pay $70, $80 for a game that gives you countless hours of entertainment, can't you kind of apply, like, you know, that? Obviously, you need food to survive. Food is a... Maybe I'm not saying this correctly. I'm talking about, like, ordering out, like, going out purposely for a restaurant or something like that. Like, that dining experience. And yeah, okay, you get the social element of going out with friends and stuff like that, whatnot. Actually, it's probably more expensive. You're talking probably like fucking $50, $60 if you're going to a restaurant and you're going with people, especially if you're drinking. But I don't know if I'm coming off how I want this analogy to kind of come off. What I'm trying to say is that, like, the whole dollar an hour thing, I personally find isn't effective in the most part. Like, for example, I will take a tight 15 to 20 hour experience at $80 than a bloated, mediocre mess that takes, you know, 80 to 100 hours to complete. Like, say, Assassin's Creed Valhalla. That game, you get your dollar an hour. But if you talk to people who played Valhalla, 9 times out of 10, you're going to find people that found that game way too long, way too bloated, that overstayed its welcome, right? So what I'm trying to say is, you know, we spend money on things that are, like, not that much cheaper than a full-price video game, but you get less out of it. Again, I don't know if that's coming across. I apologize if I sound like an asshole or something, but what I'm trying to say is, like, I'll gladly spend money on a video game that respects your time. It's tight. It's a great experience. Games like, you know, Jedi Survivor's coming out, right? Jedi Fallen Order wasn't that long of a game, but it was just so well done that I would gladly pay full price for it. Dead Island 2. I got 25 hours out of this game. That's not too bad for time investment for a product of that, right? So that, you know, in this case, it'd be like $3.5 an hour to play. Which, yeah, that's not too bad if you look at it that way. But again, I want to say I'm a rare exception to this. I think most people will probably get a lower playtime on it. So to be honest with you, I feel like Dead Island 2 is one of those games where you put on your wish list, and then maybe a year down the line or two, you see it's like 50 to 60% off. And I think then, after all the patches, possibly all the DLCs out for it, I think you could probably justify the price tag a bit more. Because this is not like an Elden Ring or a Horizon Forbidden West or a Days Gone or whatnot, where, like, I can easily sit here and tell you, buy the game right now, 100% at launch. This game, I'm steering towards more of a wait for a sale. But if you do pay full price for it, I don't think you're going to walk away completely dissatisfied for the price you paid. I think if you're like me and you strive to complete games for, like, the side content and the main content, stuff like that, you'll get enough out of it to justify the purchase. But I think I'm going to end this, you know, casual review here. I think I've kind of got the points across that I wanted to. I know this is probably a little bit longer than I expected it to be. Maybe I rambled on a little too much. But I enjoyed this. This was really fun to do. I'm really thankful I just want to kind of put it out too for my YouTube community, my little tiny community. And just the people who drop by constantly. The YouTube videos have been doing really, really good. It's been constant growth over on the YouTube side, so I just want to say I'm thankful for that. Thank you for, dropping by and checking out my small channel. I also want to say sorry to my Twitch viewers that I haven't been streaming at all really in the recent months. I will definitely try and get back onto that. One of the things I've been thinking about doing is actually, because the thing about streaming is it's really hard to kind of get your own piece of the pie out of it, right? Like, a lot of times you're streaming, if you're trying to get into new categories of new games, people have to go through hundreds and hundreds of streamers, maybe even thousands. So it's really hard to kind of grow from that. So you have to pick specialized things or older games, right? To kind of stand out. And one of the things I thought about doing was a challenge stream. I thought it'd be really fun. It's because, well, a while back, if you remember, if you're a long-time follower of the Twitch stream, is that I did Fallout New Vegas and Fallout 4 hardest difficulty permadeath runs. And that was a lot of fun. So I was kind of thinking about doing that with Skyrim, where I would play it on legendary difficulty and do it kind of like a, is it possible to beat Skyrim on legendary difficulty in survival mode? So I have that all installed, ready to go. It's going to be no exploits, no glitches, etc. So I thought that could be a fun experience to do. And yeah, and you know what, I'm gonna end the stream here. I'm gonna get this all uploaded ready for YouTube. And let me know, if you guys want to see more casual reviews like this. I like doing stuff like this. It's not too time intensive. It's just kind of me spitballing ideas on a piece of paper and kind of just giving my general thoughts. I know people like longer style reviews nowadays. This isn't obviously heavily edited. This is just more of a casual conversation. And let me know in the comments if you agree, if you disagree. Did you get the platinum yourself? Did you find it easy? And yeah, I think I'll leave that there, you guys. And it's gonna be nice to see, because this is the first time I'm actually recording for my PlayStation 5 besides Horizon. I don't know if you guys remember seeing Horizon gameplay, but for whatever reason, Horizon always comes across very blurry and like grainy. And I always thought it was my software that was doing it, but my Dead Island 2 stuff looks pretty good, so I think it might just be the game itself. Because I know other streamers had that issue too as well. But yeah, I think I'm just going to end it there, even though I said I was going to end it a bunch of times. Thanks again. If you sucked through all the way to the end, I appreciate your time. I am definitely curious to see how people think about this style of review, if you can even call it. I think it's more just a casual conversation more than a review, but long story short, kind of worth the price, not really. Wait for a sale. Average 7.5, easy platinum. If if you didn't want to watch the whole video. It's a good game, but there's definitely a lot of flaws, and it is stuck back in 2014 in terms of gameplay design. And yeah, no, because I'm known for clips and stuff like that, right? And kind of shorter, funnier videos and moments in video games. So this is definitely outside my normal content. I'm also even thinking about hooking up my webcam and stuff like that. Maybe even do a bit more professional style reviews. But we'll see how this goes. We're gonna let this one sit for a bit, and we'll see if people want to see more of this. If it does well, we have a whole whack of games coming out, so maybe I'll start trying to go for those platinums as well too, and then we'll kind of have a casual review series going on the channel, and that could be a lot of fun. But anywho, I actually have to go do some stuff. I just want to sit down here and record this and get this sent out to kind of see what you guys think. So yeah, anywho, this is Deep Luns signing off. Again, if you like this type of stuff, give the video a like. It really does help. I always thought it's kind of cringe when YouTubers said it all the time, but um, there's definitely a huge difference if a video has engagement or if it doesn't, because I've kind of seen not the butterfly effect. Oh, I'm having a brain fart right now. It, it starts out with 1 like, then it goes to 5 to 50 to 100. There's that. Oh my god, why can I not think about it? But there's a spiraling effect, I guess. Fuck. I'm having a brain fart. That's not the word I'm looking for. But anyways, liking actually does help, and now I get it actually being on the other side of it on why YouTubers always ask you to like and subscribe. I won't ask you to subscribe because I know subscribing to a channel is you don't want to cluster up, you know, your inbox and stuff like that. But please consider giving it a like. And if you do like random funny clips from video games or things like this that I'm kind of experimenting with, maybe consider subscribing. Maybe don't. Up to you. I don't want to beg for it. I want to earn it. We've been slowly growing over the years, which I am very thankful for. So yeah, actually, I'll even give the shout outs right now. We've gained like 6 or 8 subscribers in the past couple weeks, so I just want to say thank you for that. That does mean a whole lot to me, especially being a smaller YouTuber. And yeah, I'm rambling now again, even though I said I was going to log off. I'm definitely going to log off now. And so yeah, we'll see how this goes. And you know what? If this does really well, I'll see you guys on the next casual review on this channel. Take care now.